Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Untold, the show where we bring amazing personalities to talk about their journeys, their destinations, their road so far that brought them here. But without further ado, let's introduce myself. First, I am Abdullah Al-Hindiani. I'm here with my colleague.
And I'm Najeen Al-Athari, and today we're joined by Elianne Brouwers, who's a Pilates instructor and content creator. And I have a lot of respect for what she does because I can't be that physically active all the time. So it's amazing to hear from people who take their passion and kind of make it their career as well.
Yeah, honestly, Lejane, as someone who I consider myself a very physical kind of guy, but I honestly have no idea what Pilates is. When we got the brief about this episode, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna search for it. I'm not gonna do it because I want to be in a completely oblivious kind of viewer, right? I want to ask and get explained, all about Pilates from Elianne. So hopefully this episode can shed the light on what Pilates is, her role, her journey, and how she came along this path.
I mean, I actually know Pilates and I've done it myself. It's actually really great, but I think I'm going to leave it to Eliana to explain it to you. So without further ado, we're going to take a quick break. And we're back from that break. So today we're joined by Elianne Brouwers. Elianne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I've heard that you're a Pilates instructor and a content creator.
Yes.
So, let's just go back to the beginning. What made you get into Pilates?
So the funny thing is actually I am an ex-CrossFitter.
Oh,
I
no
used
way.
to do I used to do heavy weightlifting, heavy CrossFit, competitive CrossFit for almost 8 to 9 years. And then about 4 to 5 years ago, I was so completely done with it that I actually tried a Pilates class with my now colleague, and I absolutely loved it because it's so different than what I used to do. CrossFit, weightlifting, like heavy weights, everything very fast, very performance based, and Pilates like the opposite. So yes, sorry.
Oh, no, it's great. I feel like people always underestimate Pilates as well, They don't
Yes.
realize how great it can be for you.
Honestly, it's really tough.
Honestly, no, I completely feel you. I actually love Pilates myself. I do it. And my mom actually does Pilates as well. She actually got certified in it at one point just as a hobby.
Wow.
She tends to collect certificates like trophies just for no reason. She just enjoys doing things.
Yes.
But it is a lot harder than people think it is. I think people just see it as a very easy thing, but it can really move your body.
True. I think a lot of people really underestimate it. It definitely on the floor and on the machine. A lot of people where I work as well, they just think it's like any other machine in the gym, but when you actually go on top of it, it's so much harder. And even for myself, I thought after 8-9 years of heavy strength training and CrossFit and being able to pull myself up and do all those kinds of things, that Pilates would be easy, but no, it's definitely the opposite.
Speaking of someone who has been in the gym quite a few times, I have absolutely no idea what Pilates is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, for the audiences who are in the same seat as me, like, what is Pilates? Because I thought it was a form of CrossFit, but then initially,
Oh,
at the start, you
no.
said you were doing CrossFit and then you changed.
Yes,
So that's obviously different.
so basically you have Pilates on the floor and you have Pilates on a reformer machine,
Like,
and
is
then
it a type of weightlifting routine? Is it a type
no,
of,
no,
oh,
it's basically low impact. So you're still training strength, but the difference from training in the gym and training Pilates is that it's very precise. What I said, low impact, very much control, a lot of coordination, and you will still train, like, let's say, your back or your legs or your biceps. But it's not like in the gym. We're basically training those bigger muscle groups, but you're also training all those smaller muscle groups around them that support the bigger muscles. It's a lot of core, it's a lot of deep core and like stabilization. So you're moving way slower, way more controlled, way more precise. Completely opposite than the gym. A lot of times in the gym, you're really focused on getting, like 10 reps, like as heavy as you can. As in Pilates, you're basically moving much slower. A lot of people still trying to focus on the reps, but if the moment they do that, I always tell them, like, if you keep doing this, I will remove the reps. I want you to focus on the movement, being with your body in control on top of the machine, and just really focus on getting the work done while you're like breathing and focusing on that.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher than it sounds sometimes when you do
sounds
it.
tough, yeah.
True.
I mean, I've actually seen some videos circulating on social media of like a lot of guys who do a lot of strength training
Oh,
trying
true.
Pilates. And they're so funny to watch because they can't handle the classes because they're not used to training those small muscles, like you said. It really activates like your core and other things. I think a lot of people underestimate how good it can be for you. It doesn't have to always be so extreme.
That's true. And it's a lot of like stabilizing muscles as well, and a lot of like balance, coordination. And I feel a lot of, especially guys, I'm so sorry, but it's much harder for guys than for girls. You will see just from like, if I have guys in my class, girls in my class, automatically for girls it's slightly easier than for guys, and especially guys who have like big muscles and they go to the gym and they're like used to like do all the cables and the leg press, and the moment they get on top of the machine they're like shaking, and it's a little bit funny to see, but
Sure it is. It must be very humbling for them as well.
yes, true. And a lot of them, they actually think it's for girls, but the moment they come and they try it, they love it because it really benefits their strength training as well. So it's nice to see that.
You know, that was gonna be my next question, is this something, you know, female-oriented kind of activity, or is guys are allowed to do it as well?
Well, I think that stigma is out there, that it's like very girly and very like la 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 la. And
Until you do it.
And I'm gonna get my matcha and I'm gonna go to the Pilates studio and I'm gonna do a workout. But I think after, I don't know if you have seen it, but like Cristiano Ronaldo does Pilates, Formula One drivers do Pilates, a lot of like rugby players, football players, they all do Pilates. So I think after those videos came out, a lot of guys got more interested as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. I think in general, the idea that any sport or activity is more for girls or guys is it's like a misconception a lot of the time.
It is.
It's more just like, if you love it, go and do it, try it. And, you know, some people are really good at one thing or really love one thing, but there's a lot of stigma and stereotypes over a lot of things, especially in the last few years. But I think nowadays there's a lot more like people trying more things just because they want to.
That's true.
And I think that's really cool.
Yes.
And speaking of trying things because you want to, what made you decide to pursue Pilates as a more serious thing rather than just something you did?
So what I said, after my whole CrossFit career, doing competitions and like training a lot, I just started to do Pilates first, just for myself, just to, you know, switch my training, do more low impact after years of heavy weightlifting. And I was already a personal trainer at that time. I was teaching CrossFit. I was doing like personal trainings with my clients. But then I got more and more into Pilates, and I really loved how it made me feel. So I was like, I'm a little bit this type of person that if I really like to do it, I want to start teaching it as well. So from there, I just started to pursue my Pilates career, got certified, and just started teaching way more.
That's so cool.
It is. And you know, what was it about? I know that you mentioned the, you know, I'd say precise movements that Pilates has is what draw you in. But what was it, as opposed to other sports, that made you stick to Pilates? And it's like, okay, this is my path. I know this is the right road I'm on. Like, what was it about this specific activity that stuck with you?
I feel Pilates is way more sustainable the more older you get as well. And because it's so low impact, it's like great for people who have injuries. It's actually originally designed for people who had like injuries. And it's also advised by a lot of like physios, doctors, especially if clients have injuries or people have injuries, to start with Pilates, because you can still train the body, but not have the high impact of like weights on top of you, but you can still train the muscles, you can still make your joints stronger. So this really drew me in, and I really like the whole mind body connection, and that you connect the movement to the breath. It's just like you just feel really good after it. Like I feel after strength training you might sometimes feel like exhausted, but after Pilates you actually feel good.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. I have that same sensation after as well. It's because it works different things, like your mental, your physical, other things.
True.
So I do want to ask you, like, what, in your opinion, like, how does Pilates help people kind of understand their bodies more?
Well, what I said before, it targets a lot of different things, because you have to move very controlled and precise within the movement. Because I always say to my clients, if you try to control the machine, the machine will control you. So if you try to go as fast as weightlifting in the gym, it will go completely wrong, because you're still on like a moving machine. Like I teach mostly reformer, so like we're on top of the machine. So sometimes people try to go on top of it and they try to move so quickly, and I'm like, oh, careful. So you really have to control the movement. You really have to control your body. You really have to be very in tune with the movement and in that moment and your breath in order to get all the repetitions right. So I really feel this is such a great benefit, and this is what I really like about Pilates.
And also, I know that we mentioned one of the misconceptions about Pilates that it's, strictly for women. But what are some other big misconceptions people have about Pilates? Whether I know you also mentioned that people think it's easy. So what are the biggest misconceptions about Pilates?
Yeah, so what we said, it's for girls, it's girly. Oh, it's only stretching. Like
I hear that a lot too.
we're just stretching, right? Like, no, it's not. It's not. It might feels like that because we're not having weight, but we're still working through resistance. So you have like springs that you attach and you can make it heavier, you can make it lighter, but you're still working out your body. Like you're still working out your legs, you're still working out your biceps, you're still working out your chest. So it's like, it's definitely not stretching. You can stretch on top of the machine as well. You can definitely, depending on what exercise you do, but it's still a full body workout. And a lot of people think that we're just stretching for like 50 minutes on top of the machine, but no, that's not like it at all.
No, I agree. And I think also depends on the kind that you're doing. There are some that are more workout focused, some that are more stretch focused.
That's true.
And I love how it has so much going on for it. Like depending on what you need that day, what your mood is, it can really help you. And that's something I really enjoy about it. Like it's something you can do in the morning, something you can do before bed as a more stretching kind of thing.
Definitely.
It just really helps with the whole mobility of your body.
Yes.
And I think that's something a lot of people forget about, is that we need mobility as well. We need to be able to move our body with ease. It's not just about being super strong all the time.
Definitely.
Like there needs to be a balance. So
Definitely.
I think Pilates really helps kind of bring that out. And
Yes.
I do want to kind of ask you as well, like in your opinion, what are like some small tips or changes people could do to their everyday life to help their posture or their mobility in general?
Come to a Pilates class.
Come to your Pilates class.
Yeah, so Pilates has a lot of like posture work, a lot of like spinal work, like a lot of like back, shoulders, like but small changes that you can do is that just like checking in with yourself, like how you're sitting, because like a lot of people work behind the computer. We're all definitely sitting the whole day behind our phones. So just like trying to like really like focus more on like sitting upright, rolling your shoulders back, and just checking in like a few times a day, that can already really help. But if you come to Pilates, this all kind of just happens like naturally over time with enough practice and consistency.
Speaking about coming to Pilates classes, is it something, someone unexperienced with any physical activity, is it something hard for people to get into, or does it just take them a couple of tries and then they feel normal at it?
You mean like someone who has never done any exercise
Yeah, and then they
before?
come into the class. Is it a difficult class, or is it okay, manageable after time?
No, it's manageable. It really depends on like what exercise you do. Obviously, also in Pilates, you have like very beginner friendly exercises and like very advanced exercises, but that really depends just on the trainer. And if you are telling the trainer I'm new, for sure they will not put you through like the most difficult exercises, and will teach you the basics, and it's like super beginner friendly for everyone. You might feel a little bit confused at the time, but I think that's with most things, right? Like the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah, no, I think in general, most activity, there's always like a beginner level, and that's where everyone should start. Even if you're advanced in other areas, if you're starting a new thing, it's always best to, you always have to go for the basics first,
Yes,
right? And work your way up. And with time, hopefully you'll get to where you want to be.
Correct.
We are going to take a very quick break.
Okay.
And then, hope we can continue. So see you guys after the break.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're talking about physical activities, but also you are from the Netherlands, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So I do, this can segue into our next, chapter in this conversation, is that talking about, people from other countries who live here in Kuwait, talking about your experience, or, the culture shock when you first came here. Like, talk us through all of that.
So yes, I'm from the Netherlands. I don't know, have you ever been?
Yeah, I have.
Have you ever been?
No.
So we love riding bicycle. Like we do everything. We do everything by bikes. Basically, you first learn how to walk, and like soon after you learn how to ride a bicycle. So growing up, all I did was riding my bicycle and like going to school by bicycle, going to your friends by bicycle, going to the grocery store by bicycle. You do everything by bicycle. Very much a lot of nature, very much 4 seasons, like opposite of Kuwait. Like there's a lot of winter,
It's 2 seasons.
spring. Yeah, yeah. True. Yeah, very like fresh air, nature, bicycles, like a lot of things that Kuwait doesn't have.
No, I love the Netherlands. I went first time as a kid with my family, and I really
Okay.
loved my experience there. My family took me to, like windmills and cheese factories and other
Oh,
things as
yes,
well. And as a kid, that stuff is just so cool, even as an adult, but as a kid especially, it's so magical. And
that's
seeing
true.
all the nature also was so amazing. And then when I got older, one of my friends went to work in Rotterdam,
Oh,
and I used to go visit her there quite a lot. And that's when I learned about the whole bicycle thing so much because she would bike everywhere.
yeah, we bike
And
everywhere.
she would be like, yeah, no, one day we decided to just bike to the next city. And I was like, how? That's such, like, for me personally, that's a lot of endurance. That's a lot of bicycling. I don't think I could do that for more than, like, it's so normal to bike for an hour almost.
It
Or
is,
it's,
it
it's,
is.
it's not even something you guys think about. It's just second nature, I guess, because you grew up with it. It's normal. This is transportation.
Yeah, like the bike also goes before the car in like some cities. Like let's say you go to Amsterdam, you really have to be careful because the bike will go before anything and everything. So yeah, it's normal. Yeah, a lot of people they bike for 1 hour to work.
Yeah, that was a shock to me because I was like, how could you even, I'm not like great at that kind of stuff, but
Mhm.
to me, the idea of like, I love walking, but to have to bike for 1 hour, she even told me once I biked for 3 hours because we were going to a different place. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, oh, we stopped in places and
Yeah.
it's very, therapeutic for my mind and it really helps me because she used to also work in like trauma therapy as well. So she found that it really helped like with her, mental health and everything. And it was just so natural to her there. And to me, it was like, that is so weird, you know? Like, I'm not used to this. Like, especially in Kuwait, you do everything by car, It's a
Yes,
completely different
true,
culture. So I
true.
do want to ask you though, like, did you ever envision yourself living abroad when you were younger, or is it something that came later?
So when I was 19, I lived in Berlin for my internship for like 1 year. Then I went back to the Netherlands, and actually, no, I wouldn't have thought I would moved away again. And then 1 year later, I came to Kuwait. And like many people always ask me this, but they always ask Dubai or Kuwait. I always say Kuwait. I prefer Kuwait over
Yes,
Dubai.
one for us,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Was there, a specific reason that made you, come to the GCC countries, or is it something, some opportunity came along and you just found yourself there?
It kind of started as a joke
Oh,
with me and my friend. She actually went to Dubai for her honeymoon. And then I was already teaching sport at the time, and she told me, "Why are you here? Why are you not just trying to go to a different country and like start teaching sport there?" And I was like, I don't know. And then we went online, we searched, we found a job in Dubai. Me thinking, oh, probably like thousands of people are going to apply for this job. Why would they pick me? I applied and I actually got the job. And and 5 weeks later, I was in Dubai. So it went very quick and very fast. But I'm always someone that like I just go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens, and whatever comes on my path, if I feel like I want to do it, I will just do it.
I always think it's so funny that sometimes the things that you're not really trying too hard for tend to happen so easily and organically sometimes,
Yes,
especially when it
true.
comes to opportunities. Like they just appear and it's like you
Right.
want it, but when you let go of it a little bit, it just sort of boom. Next thing you know, you have the job. You're moving to Dubai. You're doing
Yeah.
all of this.
I was like, oh, but I don't know anyone in Dubai. I've never been to Dubai. What am I going to do? But I just went, and like it all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah.
so what ended up bringing you to Kuwait?
So at the time, I actually met someone. He was living already in Kuwait. He was working here as well as an expat. And at that time, it was 2018. So 2018, the fitness in Kuwait was a lot different than it is
Yeah.
now. There were also a lot less female instructors at that time, and my current work really needed a female instructor. So my manager actually just offered me a job, and I took it because I visited Kuwait, and again, I preferred Kuwait over Dubai, even though Dubai maybe looks way nicer if you look at like let's say the roads or like buildings, but yeah, Kuwait has this like cozy, homey, like warm vibe. Dubai is very
Yeah, it feels like it's more of a big city, I guess.
Yes,
You know, that kind of
yes,
feeling all big cities have. Whereas I
exactly.
agree, like Kuwait is a lot more cozy, more intimate. I mean,
Yes.
it's a big joke here that everybody knows each other almost. Like you can't
But
go
I feel
anywhere.
everyone does know each other.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Also, you can't find Sugambarki in Dubai, right?
This is
That's
true.
one thing we have over them.
It's
I do want
true.
to ask you about if you could remember your first impressions when you came here to Kuwait, because I know, even though we are neighbors to Dubai, you know, structurally speaking, we're not that much, alike when it comes to the coziness, the feeling of homeliness, I would say, the small town kind of feeling you have here in Kuwait.
Exactly.
So how was your first impressions here?
Like my first impression was like, everyone is so nice. Like, huh? How can everybody be so nice and so warm and so welcoming? And yeah, this was really my first impression of Kuwait. Like I felt everyone was so kind and so welcoming, especially as a female and like coming from a different country and being new. Like I was offered so much help, so much care. So yeah,
I mean,
thank you, Kuwait.
well, thank you. I feel like that's so wonderful for all of us to hear. It's like great to hear that, the people really stood out to you in that way and that you were able to have such an amazing experience when you first
Yes.
came. Are there any customs or habits that, you learned about or you really like here?
I really like, compared to like Europe, I'm from West Europe, but most European countries are a little bit cold, I would say. We're very like individual. We're just kind of thinking just about ourselves and, we're just focusing on our own lives. But I feel here everyone is so warm and really family focused and like people still live with their families until they get married. I feel like this is like I really like that. I really like that about Kuwait.
Yeah, no, family culture is a really big thing here.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And the funny thing about family culture here is that out of all the places I've been to, when I was studying in the United States, actually my colleagues who are from Mexico felt
Oh,
more, had that kind of familiar feeling to it because, that feeling of family, the close-knit, tight, society, you can't find it anywhere. But I was so shocked when I found it there. And I was so glad that you say you found it here. It kind of resembles different experiences all over
exactly.
the world.
Yes.
I do want to ask you because we are going a little bit out of time, so I want to segue into your social media, activities because you on social media are also active. You're
True.
using a platform. So talk us through that, the decision to make it and to go public with it and everything.
I actually just like sharing my life. I like to be relatable to like moving abroad, sharing things online, sharing what I like, sharing like, yeah, just life abroad, how I feel, like the happy things, the struggles. I like to share skincare things, tips. I like to share my travels. I just like to be like relatable. I'm just a normal girl from the Netherlands who made a choice to live abroad and to, yeah, pursue like sport and to share things online. And at the end of the day, um, yeah, that's about it.
I feel like relatability and authenticity go a long way when it comes to content creation. I think
Yes,
people want someone that they can relate to. There's no point in kind of following someone and it feels like someone so far away from you that you could never be or never know. When it's
exactly,
someone who could be
exactly.
your friend, someone who you could meet in real life, it makes you, I think, more invested in what they're doing.
That's true.
And I do want to ask you because I know you said you like to share your life, but how do you decide what to share and what to keep private? I feel like there's a difficult
Oh,
balance between that.
it's kind of like trial and error. Like I've definitely shared things in the past and I was like, I don't really think I'm going to share that again. But yeah, it just comes with like trying certain things out, see how I feel about it, see how people react to it, and like definitely some close people they don't want to be on my social media, so I have to respect that as well. But it just comes like kind of with like trying things out, see what works, see what doesn't work, and just respect everyone's like boundaries as well who are close to me.
Yeah. I mean, social media is such a double-edged sword, right?
Mm,
Because that feeling of sharing, your joys, your happiness, your experiences is overwhelming, especially when other people find the same, experiences and can share with you those kind of mutual, destinations and journeys. But also oversharing can lead to a lot of problems. And I'd imagine for you, women oversharing,
oh
you
yeah,
know, God
definitely.
knows how many people on the other side of that equation. So it's a very tight, rope to balance between
True.
oversharing and sharing just enough. So how did you find that balance?
I still don't think I found it. I still like just try things out, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think, again, this is also just part of just me being real and just trying to be authentic towards like whatever I share online.
Do you find that, creating content has kind of changed your experience with day-to-day life, or not really?
I definitely get like a lot of good opportunities from it. So like definitely a lot of positive things.
Well, that's good to hear. I
Yes.
think positive things are always welcome.
Always.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the good thing about social media now is that negativity gets buried under a wealth of positivity. And speaking from my own personal, experience, I'm not sure if you share that sentiment, but social media is, I would say it's a blessing, but also kind of in disguise, but a blessing nonetheless.
It is.
So, I feel like we had a great time talking to you. I'm going to leave you one final question because, I'm really amazed at your journey, the way you've lived in different places, how you've also tried different sports, got into Pilates. I just want to know, like, if there was any country or destination you could go to next, what would it be?
Korea.
I'm with you, especially with the skincare.
Korea.
I feel like that's amazing. And, I think you're doing a really good job of balancing everything. You seem really relaxed. I think a lot of people who have social media, it's really hard to maintain that balance sometimes. So, just keep doing what you're doing. It seems to be working.
Thank you.
So, thank you for joining us. And we are going to take a quick break.
Well, that's unfortunately the wrap up of today's episode of the Untold with Jay. And honestly, I feel more educated about Pilates now, but I will not try it. Both of you talked about it and made it seem like a very horrifying experience. So I'm going to stay away from it.
It's actually a great experience. I think you should try it. There are beginner classes, and it'll help you learn more about your body. Just try different movements, So I see there's no harm in trying it,
Well, I know enough about my body. I just want cheeseburgers and pizza. No more Pilates for me. Nothing when it comes to Pilates at all. Because she was saying guys are screaming and in pain. I was like, how is that a physical activity?
I think it's just, I'm not really sure what it is. I think it's just men are used to doing certain activities more, whereas women can do mobility things more. I'm not the expert, but it was great to hear that she said it's accessible to both. You just got to try it. Just start beginner and get your way there. And also the fact that she's a content creator as well. I loved how she focused on being relatable, being authentic. And I also loved her experience here in Kuwait and that she had a great time.
Yeah, honestly, whenever we have, people from other countries here as guests on the Untold, the amount of great thing that they say about Kuwait, it always brings warmth to your heart, right? It's always a blessing to live in such a place that a lot of people from outside consider home. So it's a very blissful kind of evening, and I was so glad when she talked about it.
So was I, and I think it's just really wonderful that people from other countries do enjoy our culture so much and love living here. And bless Kuwait, and I hope that the audience also had a great time listening to what Elianne had to say. And with that, that is all we have for today, so goodbye.